Right, this was a wonderful opportunity for me to really showcase the power of LinkedIn to students who will be graduating or have graduated, and knowing how to promote yourself through a platform for career development is invaluable. I remember one of the questions that Valencia asked me was about the value, how does it help me? And I had to really think about that and wow, you know what? A lot of the last jobs I've got all came through LinkedIn, through digital networking, people seeing the kind of content I'm putting out there, and more specifically, the kind of network that they saw me involved in. I'm taking pictures with different senior level executives throughout different hospital systems, and this creates opportunity for me to move forward. So thank you, Atlantis University, for having me on the show.
Let's go.
Welcome to Atlantis University Studios. My name is Professor Everton Thompson, and today we are going to talk about LinkedIn and the power of it. So often here at Atlantis, us in the business department, which is the business school I'm in, we prepare students so well with subject matter, but we don't want to stop there. It's very important that we prepare students for after the classroom education. And so with me today, we have from Career Resources, Career Services, Mercedes Benitez, absolutely. And also it's so important that we have students represented here because they are the future. And so we also have with us today Florencia Kruger. Mm-hmm. And she's going to ask many of the questions as most students would want to know, things that these students want to know. And our expert today on LinkedIn and all other business-related things is the president and CEO of 5-Star BDM, Grant McGaugh. And welcome.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I can't think of another place I'd rather be at this time.
Okay, very good. So I'm just going to go around the table. I would say a couple of things, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the questions, right? Again, I just want to say that once a student is prepared, the subject matter, right? Especially if in something they love or they're interested in or they're passionate about, right? At that level, yes, all this information is here, but nobody knows about it. Nobody knows you. At some point, the networking has to begin. The networking, people knowing what you have, how good you are, how important you are, what you know up here, the networking begins. And luckily for today's student, we are so connected. But a lot of times we're not connected to the right things. And that's why today we're going to talk about the power of LinkedIn, which is that tool that will assist you to take it to the next level. And as most students know at the university, the resource, the organization that helps you take it to the next level or help you kind of navigate this stuff is our Career Resources Center. So go ahead, Mercedes, and say a few words.
Welcome, Mr. Grant, to our beautiful university. And yes, Professor Everton, LinkedIn is very important, extremely important. And one thing that we do here at AU in the Career Services Department, we try to educate our students the importance of having a LinkedIn account. And we do make it a point to sit them down and educate them and create a profile. And the importance of having a profile on LinkedIn and start networking, even though you're a student, that's what we do. And hence, that's why we have a student here today that she's going to give us her point on LinkedIn and her questions.
Sure.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity. As a AU student, I would like to ask you first, why should we use LinkedIn?
Very good question. Social media has changed our world. It really came on the scene around 2009, 2010, so now we're in 2024, so it's been about 14, 15 years. When it first came out, I remember MySpace, that was a big thing, people were on MySpace, right? But then it morphed into Facebook because it became a better user interface. And at that time, when it came to what you would call career development, people were on other platforms. Prior to Indeed or Monster.com and some other things. And someone had a bright idea to come up with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a social media platform, but it initially was used for, I would say, recruiters to say, hey, someone's looking for a job, let me connect you to that job. Or someone that says, I need a job, I need to then connect you to that particular employer. That was really the basis of LinkedIn when it first came out, but it's morphed and has changed exponentially. A lot of people don't know there are about over 700 million business professionals on LinkedIn now. It is becoming the go-to place for people that are looking for jobs, obviously, or needing jobs, but just to share business knowledge. It's an opportunity to showcase your talents, your skill sets, your tool sets, and more importantly, your mindset. How do you think about certain things? And it can become a tool to differentiate you from your competition.
Oh, wow. I always have this question. I have my own LinkedIn profile, but when the time comes, I would like to look for a job, right? So do really the employers use the LinkedIn to hire people?
Good question. And I'm going to tell you this story. It's not so much a story, it's a reality. Before, you will operate with somebody like Mercedes, right? She's a career professional. She might do some hiring, human resource. The first thing you would do, you would email her your resume. Or you would fill out an application online in which they would look at your information, maybe they vet you, are you a good fit or you're not a good fit. The first things now today that a professional will do, especially in HR, if I have your name, Florencia, I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I'm going to want to take a look at what you say about yourself on LinkedIn, because I can read a resume, I can read your CV, but I want to see what your thoughts are. I want to see who you're connected to. I want to see how your network is responding to you. Now, some people say, well, I just won't put anything out there on LinkedIn. So that becomes a red flag. If I can't find you on LinkedIn, like, I'm thinking either you're hiding something or you're just not aware of the power of this platform, or you just don't know what to put on your LinkedIn profile to make you stand out. Either way, it becomes a flag. And for instance, I would say it like this. When you would go to a job interview, I would say, just like you are now, you would dress appropriately. You'd have on a nice suit or a nice dress, or you would look nice and decent. Your digital profile needs to be the same. So to say that you're not even present on LinkedIn says you're not present in the business world. That's how I would answer that question.
Mm-hmm. I would also like to know, what are the emerging features? I know LinkedIn has been around for a while, but there must be some new features that professionals just like me who are starting to look for jobs or to make a name in the industry that we're interested in. Which features should we use on LinkedIn to promote ourselves to the recruiters or the employers that are looking for hiring us?
Great question. First thing I would do is just like when you go to a LinkedIn profile, what a lot of people don't do. First of all, you need to have a very good headshot, a professional headshot. Now, it doesn't be something you need to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on, but now the phones of today, whether you have an iPhone and Android, you could put yourself behind a room that has maybe a white background, have someone take a nice headshot of you, and then you can upload that as your profile pic on LinkedIn. Very good for students. Like, I don't want to go out and spend a bunch of money. You don't have to, but you want to look professional. This is the first thing. The first impressions are so important, because what they're going to see, what you call they call a fold on a website. The first thing they're going to see is your picture, and then they're going to see this thing right behind that called the banner page. Here's another big tip. A lot of people don't do this. They don't understand that banner, the one that they give you as a generic one, is just a blue background. It says nothing about you. There's nothing there. However, they give you the opportunity to customize it, change it. Don't look at it as a banner. Look at it as a billboard. It's a billboard. Remember, there's 700 million people on LinkedIn. Think of them driving down the highway, right? When they look up, and I'm dating myself, this is what we used to do, we have billboards on the highway, right? Well, they look up, they'd see this billboard, and they see your face. If you were selling real estate, they'll see this big, shiny, smile you have on your face and what you're doing. This is your billboard. So if there's nothing there, there's nothing to see, there's nothing that says, hey, let me take a look at what Florentia is really about. So now you can use tools, free tools, don't cost you any money, Canva, Canva.com. Go to Canva and type in the search, put in LinkedIn banner. This is very important because it's going to give you the exact dimensions that you're going to need when you upload the template into LinkedIn. Now what you're going to see is probably like 30 or 40 or even more templates that you can then customize for you. Like, you're going to be a recent graduate, you have different studies, you want to showcase something about you that makes you stand out. And here's another tip. I would start to do a search on other students that have either the same kind of career trajectory as yours, or they're interested in the same type of job opportunities as yours. See what they look like. What banner do they have there, if they have one, to give you some ideas. You don't want to do exactly what they're doing, but you want to get an idea what it could look like and customize it for yourself. So again, that's going to be what you call a thumb stopper. Everybody knows social media these days. They scroll. You want them to stop scrolling. But typically, when someone goes to your LinkedIn profile, they've already stopped scrolling, so to speak, and they're looking at you. When they're looking at you, you want to make sure that it's a pleasant appearance. So you're going to have your nice profile picture, you're going to have your beautiful banner, and then right underneath that is your name. Here's another thing that a lot of people don't customize. If you're looking on the screen, like I have the screen behind you, you're going to see that there's different applets there. First of all, if you have a name that's difficult to pronounce, you're going to see that there's a little bitty audio feature right there, right by my name. When you click on that audio feature, because my last name is Grant, or my first name is Grant, last name is McGaugh. Most people don't know how to pronounce that just by looking at the letters. So you click on it, and it'll actually pronounce my name.
I never knew that.
Me neither.
Awesome.
No, really.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That is a great thing, depending on where you're from, or you have a difficult name to pronounce and people aren't sure. That happens.
It is.
And he just did it.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Nice.
Great.
And that helps people, because let's say if you're a recruiter, Mercedes is a recruiter, she wants to talk to you. Well, it becomes a lot easier for her to make a phone call. She knows how to pronounce your name.
Yeah.
If she doesn't, and it's too difficult, she doesn't want to make a mistake, she might pass you by and go to someone else.
Yeah.
Very true statement. And then right underneath that is going to have, really, it's like your headline. Think of this as a headline, like in a newspaper, or I'm going to date myself, I say newspaper. Let's say a news feed, right? And when you have a news feed, all you're doing is scrolling through and you're seeing headlines. You're seeing a bunch of headlines, and if you see a headline that you like, you click on that, right? you have the ability to have your own headline there, and you can put information there about what your interests are or what your skill set is. Some people might just put a simple title, but you can do more than that, right? So on mine, I say I'm the CEO, 5-star BDM, business and technology expert. So you're like, oh, he's a business. So it tells you about the company already. He's a business technology expert, right? He's a podcast host. He's a healthcare advocate. Those are the things I want you to know about me immediately. So think about what people want to know or you want them to know about you immediately, and that is the information that you put there. Before I continue, I'll let you ask some more questions.
Yeah, I on my own profile, I have my degree, so I don't have so much experience yet. So does it look okay to put our degree there, or should we elaborate more like a sentence, or what are we aspiring to get in the future?
Another great question. And I advise you again to look at other people's profiles. And what you're going to see is that a lot of them will put their degree because it stands out. You've earned it. You've earned that degree, and it tells you immediately that you have graduated and that you have a certain amount of knowledge and expertise in an area. If it's an MBA, a PhD, a BA, or whatever it might be, you'll see a lot of people that'll put their name, and immediately they'll have those letters. You have enough space there to crystallize that information. Again, if that's the first thing you want somebody to know about you, especially when you're a young professional, you say, I've graduated, I have expertise, I'm in this area.
Yep.
If you also go back to that fold, you're going to see right across from that, it's going to have your school and your place of employment immediately in that area. If you fill that out, that is where it's going to become visible. So that looks good if you have your name, and then you have your degree, and it has what's important to you, and right and say, like, wow, she graduated from Atlantis University, wonderful. And whether you may be employed or not, if you're employed or your last employer, it would populate there as you get further and further down, filling out the profile. Right?
Florencia, what is your area of interest or your specialty once you graduate?
I am a psychologist back in my country.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things, the platform itself, you put information, but also you're sharing information. So when someone goes to your profile, you have to be active with it. So you share things you're interested in, you follow people, you post things that are in your industry. So when someone comes to your page, yes, they will see your profile, of course, but now then they look at content, right? You're providing content, and that content represents you, right? Ooh, this person is following this. This person has this person. They look at the totality of your profile as being you, not just your job experience, but the totality of what you're presenting. So by going on there, actively put things that are educational, informative, conversations, that person knows this person is really into their field of psychology. And one of the other thing I wanted just to mention, when we started the conversation, we brought up recruiters and employers. Okay, remember, this is a networking site. So what that means is if you type in Cleveland Clinic, right? The Cleveland Clinic will come up and it'll show you department heads, everybody that's on LinkedIn. And it's a professional site, so not just HR will be there, the vice president and presidents of departments, people who are doctors and everything. This is the beauty. You don't have to call them, right? You don't have to call them. You know why? Because Mr. Grant McGaugh is going to tell you about inboxing. I'll leave that up to you as the expert. Go about that.
Yes, he's talking about direct message. And a lot of people, especially younger people, don't understand, oh, that's my DM.
Yes, you could slide into the DMs of professional people. Yes, go ahead.
Very much so, but you have to be connected to them initially. If you're not connected to them, they call it first degree connection. So getting back to where I was talking about, after now you've got your name you've pronounced your name, you've got your headline in the information, and then right below that, the first thing they're going to see is how many followers you have. And the first advice I give anybody, especially when they're going to LinkedIn, get above 500 followers. Just start typing in information about who would you like to connect with. A lot of people will connect with you just because you requested for them to do so. However, you got to make sure your profile is pleasant and that it's professional and it says something, because the first thing, like, whoa, who is Florencia? They'll click on it. Oh, okay, she's done, and they'll go ahead and accept your request. That's great.
You're building your network.
You're building your network, and that's fine. But you want to give above 500 because people will see that. When you don't have enough followers and you have very low followers, that's also a red sign. It's a red flag, I would say. Like, they're not very connected on this platform. They're not really engaged on this platform. So whatever information is there may not be relevant, or it may be dated. And again, they'll go to someone else. The first, you got to remember, there's so many other people. Now go back to what we were talking about a little earlier about your degree. Remember, put your degree there, but also remember, you're competing with approximately another million people plus that have that degree or just graduated. So that's not the great differentiator. It's good to see that, but that's not what's all going to differentiate you, just like Mr. Thompson just said. So we're going to continue to build your profile to where it becomes very compelling and it tells a story. So as you're building out this profile, remember you want to get above 500 followers as quickly as you can and begin to be intentional about who you're connecting with, just like you just brought up, Mr. Thompson. Like, all right, don't just try to connect to anybody. Connect to people that can actually advance your intention of getting a job, or in the field that they're doing, or it could be other professors or whatever it might be, other people in the world of psychology and sociology and things of that nature. So now you're building your network. Now you're on your way of doing that. And right underneath that, you're going to start getting into what I call your about section. Lots and lots of people do not fill out the about section, or they put in very generic information, meaning this: all they're going to do is take their resume and regurgitate the information on their resume into the about section. You're missing a great opportunity. This is the opportunity to tell your story. What people really want to know, Florencia, is why you chose psychology or sociology, or why you did this. Well, what drives you to want to be able to do this? Tell them. Because I said earlier, a lot of people have a degree. Lots of people. But when you start telling your story, your why is important. It's your passion. It differentiates you. People are like, you know what, I want to hire her because she's a fit for our organization. You hear that so many times in the hiring process. Oh, that person wasn't a good fit. Well, what does that mean? A lot of times you haven't told your true story, or maybe you did, and you know what, they maybe did you a favor because, you know, maybe you were not going to be a good fit. However, you want to take all the gray area off the table. You want to give as much information, relevant information, pertinent information in your LinkedIn profile. So if somebody's really interested in you, they got a lot of great information, and you want to compel them to action. That is what a about section is for. A resume will never compel someone to action. It gives you a historical information about you, which is good. Remember, but there's a whole nother section in LinkedIn around your education and around your work history. Don't put that information in the about section, if that makes sense.
That's a good point you just brought up, because so many people are used to looking at TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. They might not know what appropriate content is for LinkedIn. What do you post? What don't you post? Right?
Yes.
The day at the beach? No.
No.
The day at a psychology conference? Yes. speakers, your books you're reading? Yes. And I'm sure there are others things that you find are important as the do's and don'ts in terms of what you post on LinkedIn.
Yes, what you brought up is so important. Understand each of these social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, Twitter, X as we know it now, they all have a certain profile. They all have certain content. You want to understand what content will really grow on these platforms that are relevant to what I'm talking about, right? You wouldn't show up to a doctor's office and then start talking about something completely irrelevant, to what it's all about, right? So what is relevant on LinkedIn is business knowledge. It's sharing business insights, not just business, but career as well. If I want to understand the world of psychology, and all of a sudden you are putting out relevant information, articles, you're doing videos about it, you're telling your story and your why this is so important. You might find this interesting. Here's a great book for you to read, as Mr. Thompson said, but you're putting this in you're posting this type of information, because I'll go back to something he said that's so important in business and in career. Content is king. Content drives behavior. If someone has great content, once you reach out to them, whether it's via email or a phone call or even at a business meeting, once they have already been exposed to your content, a lot of the conversation has already been laid out for them and you as far as a lane for what to talk about, what the interest level may be. I've heard so many people, especially younger individuals, when they go to a physical networking event, they're like, well, what do I do? What do I talk about? What is there to say? This is a great opportunity, because typically I always say, well, there's a reason why you're in the room. That's why you're in the room. Right. Let's talk about that. But what has changed in the physical networking realm is that used to be just giving me my business card exchange. They don't just give, very little information. Someone will go and then they'll look you up in. Now they want to know your LinkedIn profile.
Yep. And a matter of fact, on your resume, a lot of people put their LinkedIn. We're not going to discuss it on this particular moment, but what you actually are creating is your brand.
Oh, wow.
You have a brand, right? How do you want employer to see this brand? Remember, there's a couple of things that can happen with a brand, right? Someone could employ you because of your brand. Someone could partner with you because of your brand, right? Or what's more important than anything in the world, through networking and have your own brand, you can gain capital from your brand. Somebody's willing to pay you because to be, it's just like in regular social media, to be an influencer, because they see that you have an area that they can use, and so before you know it, they don't have advertising on LinkedIn, do they?
They do.
I mean, do people make revenue from advertising like the other platforms do?
They do. Just like Facebook and anything else, there's an advertising
even more important
platform that you can pay to have your message to have greater reach.
Okay.
A lot of people do. If you really notice, as you're going through your feed, all of a sudden you'll see a business that's advertised. Usually there's a connection. They use algorithms there. They're like, oh, you know what? She's interested in psychology. I'm going to send as much information about psychology as possible to her. That type of thing. So that's happening on LinkedIn just like it happens on other platforms.
Right. And just like yourself, because I know that happens to you all the time, people invite you to talk with them. In terms of being an influencer,
Influence thought leader.
I like the word thought leader. Sorry, thought leader is the word.
That's the word I was thinking.
Thought leader.
Yeah.
Thought leader.
And so again, all of what we're talking about is not necessarily job experience related. This is just mainly you're showing you're passionate, you're interested, that you are an expert in a field. Before, you had to send in a resume doesn't see you. You're able now to be seen far ahead of time. right? And as you keep connecting, you build your network, you build your community, and so when you're looking for a position or a job, it's very easy to find where to go because you're already connected, So that's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, there's some other things that going back to what you talked about earlier about the DM, direct messaging. So now you've created a great profile. You've got your information out there. You have not created a story, and you've put that in the About section. You've filled out your education and your job history information, right? And you're starting to put content out into your feed, and you're connecting with people. Now when you make they call it direct message to someone, if you're going to send a message to Professor Thompson, you're going to send something that's relevant because you're going to do something. You don't just send him an ad hoc message. You're going to do something. You're going to actually look at his LinkedIn profile, and you're going to read through it, and you're going to find something that he may be interested in because he's shown you his interest. I'm interested in this, and this through his different feed that he has, the different articles that he's put out there. You can see his job history. You can start to see what is the connection between Professor Thompson and Florencia, and let's connect on that level. You don't want to immediately put what a lot of people make that first mistake. Mr. Thompson, hire me. Immediately, just hire me. You're like, no, because he doesn't know. You wouldn't do that in real life. It's a real conversation. How would you generate a real conversation in real life? First, you get to know each other.
Yeah.
Right? You exchange names. Then you might start having a conversation of where you're from, what brings you here, that kind of thing. And then it naturally starts to get into conversations around, all right, I see you have a great interest in this particular field. I do as well. Let's now have a further conversation. And you can do that all in digital networking through LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Relationship building is what it's all about.
Yep.
And you'll find that all the major job opportunities, career opportunities, business opportunities are all built on relationships that you build over time by knowing how to generate conversation and digitally network through these programs. First, it's quicker, faster, better.
Yep.
And it's going to make you a better person.
And a lot of these heads of companies or people in position of power, they are public in terms of they go to events. They could be speaking somewhere. So as you're DMing them, oh, I'll be speaking at this symposium or I'll be at this event, and you go to the event. So now you have a conversation going on. Now you can actually meet the person. They get to meet you. You've showed interest because you showed up to an event where they're presenting, an organization meeting, whatever it is. So you're like you said, you're building that relationship, that rapport, that they won't forget you. The thing about opportunities, they're always around. But what happens with opportunities sometimes, they might not be there that very second. But because you've made an imprint in this person's mind, that maybe 2 weeks from now, something comes up. Gosh, Valencia would be perfect for this company. Would be perfect for this. Let me put him in connect. So he himself or she herself may not be the one to hire you, but she's recommended you. Recommended you because you've showed interest, because you've showed a passion, because you've connected. And you can't be afraid to network. That's the whole idea. And it's a perfect format to do it because a lot of people in the past, we had to network in person. Networking was in person. You can network on a platform and broaden your opportunities.
So speaking about the network, I would like to ask you, what are the strategies that you found the most effective to grow the network?
That's a great question. I now have about almost close to 19,000 connections on LinkedIn. That was built over a 10-year period of time in the different job roles that I was in, and then eventually into business roles that I was in. So best practice said, and I gave you kind of the beginning framework, right? That's the car. I've given you the car. Now you got to drive it. You got to drive the automobile. You've got to be intentional about digitally networking to create opportunities. And here's the biggest thing as I say this. It's not about you. It's about how you can bring value to the person that you're connected to or you're communicating with. That's the framing of the conversation, the messaging. It's not about you. It's about them. So I always look from that lens. How can I bring you value, right? I am now, just recently, just today, I put out a post about I'm going to a very large conference next week. It's called HIMSS. HIMSS is the Health Informatics Management System Society. It's all the health IT, technology, hospitals, healthcare institutions, and also vendors and providers that use technology in their day-to-day business. And I'm going to be at that conference all next week. I want to have people come to me for appointments to really discuss their particular digital journey. How can I help them on their digital journey and where they're at from a software perspective, a virtual care perspective? And there's hundreds and hundreds of vendors there, but I want to now bring my slice of the pie directly to me. So I put information out on LinkedIn. I'm telling them where I'm speaking. I have a really good graphic there. I'm going to do this not just once. I have to do this over a series of time and events. The day before, I had a virtual webinar, which I had people that were a CIO of a healthcare a facility. I had a doctor, a physician who uses virtual healthcare, and I had a software engineer that I work with Agile InfoWays to start to build momentum, to build curiosity, to build audience, to give information. So they're like, wow, I need to know about this, and I want to get this to my target audience. This is something that I need. And Grant's going to be at this particular venue, and here his vehicle is. I can just click here, book an appointment, and I can meet with Grant and have a one-on-one with him around my particular project that I am working on. That is the power of utilizing LinkedIn. You cannot do that, I can think of any other way of building momentum, because if I went to the conference and I was in they have these giant booths there, right? And everybody's milling around. There's 50,000 people there. And I just start yelling out, virtual healthcare here, virtual healthcare here. You know, what is my probability that I'm going to get someone that all of a sudden they have an interest and they're going to come in and talk to me? It's going to be more difficult as opposed to at 2:30, I've got Professor Thompson there. At 3 o'clock, I've got Mercedes there. At 3:30, I've got Florencia there. So it's a more a professional way of networking and getting to your objectives.
If Florencia, so and Mr. Grant, if you could agree with me, LinkedIn is just not just to look for employment. Back in the day, where you pick up your newspaper and you start reading, well, me normally, I go into my phone and I start reading LinkedIn, my daily routine. I just start reading the articles that are of interest. It's amazing what you can learn just by reading the articles of the people you are following. It's something that our students, that's what I'm trying for our students to learn, that LinkedIn is just not, okay, I need a job and I'm just going to put up my resume and here I go, I'm going to find my next job and I'm going to be happy. No. LinkedIn is also a learning tool.
Yep.
Just by the articles you read. It's amazing. And
yeah. I mean, LinkedIn has LinkedIn learning.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You get certified. When you get certified on LinkedIn Learning, can you post that?
Yes.
You can post that on your
There's
site.
all types of courses.
Yeah.
And so every course that you take, once you've completed the course, it gives you the option to post that you've completed that particular type of learning.
So I don't want that to go, just to gloss over the importance of being intentional. That's what he's saying. You have to, it's not great job. You've created a great page, right? Great page. It looks great. It looks great. It really does. You've reached out and you've started connecting to people. You're connected. But like Mercedes says, it's a daily thing. You have to be intentional. You're intentional. It's your business. Start as a young person. It is your business to build your brand daily. It's your business. So you're gathering knowledge. You're sharing knowledge. Gathering knowledge, sharing knowledge, putting good information. It represents you like nothing in the world. Why do you have to do this? Like Mr. McGaugh said, you got to stand out. When he tells you to go look at somebody else that's in a similar industry, you'll be like, oh, I got to step my game up. Because people that are intentional, they're present everywhere, and they're building. And so just think about it, right? I have a job opening that I need somebody that's dynamic. He has a job opening. He sees something dynamic. He goes onto your plain page, right? Even if you have a higher degree, that you go on Mercedes' page, and she's oh my goodness. This person I want representing me. That's what it's all about. When an employer is looking for an employee, they're saying, how can I see that person in my environment? Does that person make my environment better? No longer are the days where they're willing, luckily, we were brought up in those days where people are willing to take you raw and train you and bring you up to snuff and teach you and learning. No. You know what they think now? They say you have everything at your fingertips. Be intentional. Go out there and do it. Prove to me that you can bring value, is the word,
to the company.
To the company. What value? So that's what you should always, every time you put something down or say, so what? You have to ask yourself, so what does this mean? You know, why does this make me different? What differentiates myself? So it's a big jump, because I know because I struggle with this a lot, where I feel that a lot of students think, okay, once I finish with college, I'll just apply for a job. That's not the mindset at all. That's not the mindset at all. You're not going to like it. You're not going to like what's available to you. You're not going to like the how people see you.
You're not going to be successful.
You're not going to be successful because the next person is very intentional about creating his brand that will set him apart from others. Yeah. So, go ahead.
I really, really appreciate this opportunity. Before coming here, I understood LinkedIn as a second resume place, or just for looking for recruiters or employers. I can really see the importance of the networking now, and have intention on what I do, the activity, the things that I post on this social media. So I would like to ask you, what are the most common mistakes professionals make on LinkedIn? I can see that not understanding that this is a social media for network to share the knowledge that we have is one of the mistakes. So are there others mistakes?
That's a great question.
It's a great question, and it's a relevant question, and I see it all the time. First, we go back to content. The content is horrible. I mean, they might post a picture, but the picture is blurry, or it's just not good quality. It's low quality, and the message that they have around their content is all over the place, and it makes really no sense. And it doesn't make, not only does it make you stand out, if somebody actually look at it, it'll bring you down. So remember when you're posting content, you don't have to be a marketing major or someone that understands marketing, but you have to know a little bit about how messages get to you. What messages do you like? What does it look like? And that's important, because if you show up to work and you're not put together, you're sloppy, let's put it like that. And if you're doing sloppy content, it has a negative effect on you. And we've already talked about misalignment. Like you put it at, this is what I ate for dinner last night on LinkedIn. Well, that's not really the place for it. You can do it. It's not really, the place for that, and you're missing the opportunity to grow. But some of the other biggest mistakes is that they just don't utilize all the capabilities of the platform. You've got now raw video, like we're on right now, that you can now put on your LinkedIn. Video is king. Video content, if you will capture attention immediately, it go far more than just a picture, far more than just text. It's good to have a combination of those. You don't do video, and you don't do picture all the time. You have a combination. But understand, video content, especially short form video, 30 to 40 seconds, will grab people's attention. And you can do this today so easily. You can take your cell phone, record yourself. You can write it out in front of you. So it doesn't have to be live, right? And give a very good, just a couple paragraphs of something important that's relevant to your career or your business or what you're studying in school, and put it out there. Somebody's like, wow, Florence, man, I'm glad you said that. I was studying that, or I knew about that. That was great. Thank you. And then you couple that with some text information about the subject that you talked about, and you put what we call a call to action. They call it CTA in the marketing world. What's the call that? People do it all the time and they don't realize there are terms for this thing. What is that? It means either your email address, the website, whatever it takes to get in contact with you, right? And encourage them to get in contact with you for more information. You're now self-promoting yourself. A lot of people don't self-promote on LinkedIn, or they don't know how to, and they just, what we call it, you show up and throw up. Me and Richard, I call him Richard, Mr. Thompson right there, this is what we did. We had to do sales presentations at corporations, because we represented a Fortune 500 company, and you had to go and present a very complex idea to another group of folks in a boardroom, and you had to present. And you had to promote what it is that it is. And if you weren't prepared, it would show up, right? And they would not take action after you've left the meeting, because you didn't present the idea, the concept, wherever it might be, intelligently, and it was unclear. So make sure, even when you're posting, this is how I look at things. And people, when they look at me, like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Remember, I have 18,000 followers on LinkedIn. That's like going out onto the floor where the Miami Heat play and giving a speech. Every time I post, I need to understand, when I look at that, like, all right, 18,000 people potentially could pay attention and tune into what I put out there. So I have to be intentional about having content that'll resonate with my followers.
But wait a second, those 18,000, how many, if you put out good content, what's the percentage of those 18,000 that will share on their network? Now we've taken that 18,000, and even if 20% do it, that 18,000 is at 100,000 have seen, and they're reaching out, and they're connecting, and they're getting information exponentially. The word viral exists on all the platforms. Word viral is good on LinkedIn because, and we're going to do this in another episode, as I said earlier, it's a totally different conversation. LinkedIn is what we're here today, but how you brand yourself. How do you brand yourself, your business? Branding is so important as we move forward. There are people that are making millions easily making millions because of they've created a brand that people can't get enough of. Every day. No name folks. Just creating content that people got to see. So that's there for another conversation.
I would like you to share if you have any memorable, successful experience through LinkedIn, like I don't know, like any experience from you or other, other people you may know that has been successful being interactive and networking through LinkedIn.
Great question.
Yep.
I would say the last 4 jobs that I had all came through LinkedIn. Connections through LinkedIn. People who saw the content that I put out and said, we want to talk to you. So LinkedIn has provided me hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue based on just being able to expand my career. We're not even talking about the business opportunities because I'm now a entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, when I walk in a room now, they say, "Oh, that's Grant McGaugh, 5-star BDM." You know, that made me feel good. It used to be, "Oh, that's Grant McGaugh, he is an IT professional." They don't say that anymore. They say Grant McGaugh 5-star BDM, and that is because I became intentional to what Richard was talking about creating my brand and understanding that I'm talking to people. All commerce is people working with other people, no matter what it is. All business is that I have something you need and you have something I want, and all of them are in that platform. He also brought up something very, very important: analytics. LinkedIn gives you analytics. You can see how much of a reach that you have with every post that you put out. And I encourage you to understand those analytics, because they're going to say, you know what? I had hundreds of people look at this post. Maybe I need to do more of those. Or you say, well, you know what, only a few people really tune into that post. Maybe I should stay away from that kind of content, right? And it'll give you information not only for 7 days, the last month, the last 90 days, the last year of information. When I click on that, I see that I have touched over 500,000 people just in posts that I put out. So my not only just impressions, there's video, there's engagement, there's all kinds of different statistics that are that you can see to see how much of a reach that you have, how effective that you are being. But the number one thing always, do I have job opportunities that I've created? Do I have a career that I have now manifested for myself, and I have a platform? There is a process that you go through with your intention. Number one, what is your point of view? Have your point of view about psychology. What is your point of view? What's your personal story around your psychology endeavor? What is that? LinkedIn is your platform. That's the third thing. Platform. You have to have a platform to deliver your message. And then you have to understand your position. What is your position and where you're at? And what I mean by that, what are you in relation to your competition?
Yep.
And there's all kinds of positions. One person I always liked, I like the guy that I got a lot from understanding about personal branding, was Mike Kim. Mike Kim said, positioning is like this. There are many billion-dollar companies. Walmart is a billion-dollar company, and I would say Fuji is another billion-dollar company. I say Gucci. I'm not going to say Fuji. We'll say Gucci is another billion-dollar company. They both sell fashion and jewelry and things like that, but they do it in very different ways. Walmart's going to do it in volume. They want everybody coming in, low cost, high value. Where Gucci is going to like very high value.
Exclusive.
Exclusivity, prestige, society, how you want to be looked at. But they both are billion-dollar companies. You need to understand your position in relevance to the market and how that relates back to what I just said about the platform that you're on and about your personal story and about your point of view. That's going to help you be successful.
And you're going to graduate from Atlantis University, which means you're going to be successful. It means you had Professor Thompson. Anyway, but most people that graduate from college, a lot of people that graduate from college, they are given because, like I said, employers don't necessarily want to train you on everything. They want to know that you've been trained already. That's why you went to college, right? You learn all this stuff already, right? Higher education, you can learn. They want you to hit the ground running, right? Yeah. But guess what? You hit the ground running as a manager or supervisor. What are one of the things you have to do as a manager or supervisor? Acquire talent, manage talent. So if you don't understand this platform, how are you going to add to your team? Because now you're a manager, or you run something for the organization or your own business. You have to go out and acquire. You're going to do this. You're going to go on LinkedIn and you're going to say, you're going to know the people that are intentional. So it works as yourself trying to get a position, but once you get the position, it's no time to stop. You continue, move forward, because your success is best on you recruiting the best people. Right? And getting the best people to work under you, because again, employers only hire people to make their business better. That's it. The person that was sitting in that seat, unless it was brand new created, wasn't doing the job. So what did that person do? He didn't make the company better. I can answer the question for you. That's why he's gone. So you want to show value the minute you step in there, and showing that you know how to acquire talent as well will be very helpful to making sure that whatever position you're put in, whatever job you are, career you can take, that you are successful, hit the ground running. So it's a tool that you'll always be using, not just to get a business or get your business off the road, but to manage your business. So that's definitely, we've said it a couple times. I want to make sure there is not a clear, make sure students understand this. Influencers is what the term we use on all the other platforms, and myself and Grant Mr. McGaugh has used the term thought leader a couple times. Can you define what that thought leader means so that the audience understands what that is to strive for?
Yes, and I would make a great distinction between a thought leader and an influencer. Influencer, typically, when you think of an influencer, you're thinking about social media darlings. They have millions and millions of followers, and they put out whatever, like on a TikTok video and things like that goes viral like every week. And that's an influencer, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of times they do advertising behind that because they have a lot of reach. What I'm talking about as a thought leader is for everyone. You don't have to have 1 million followers to be a thought leader. And I'll tell you this quick story about someone about your age, as a matter of fact, when it came to social media content creation and posting. When they first got to putting out content and information, they went viral. They put out some information that was had a lot of social impact. A lot of people, I think she was in a school in the southeast, and I can't remember the exact topic, but it went viral. Millions of people were looking at her content. So then she did it again, and millions of people were looking at her content. Then she felt that she was under pressure to start putting out content that would always go viral. And what she found is that she started to stray from her message. She found that she was doing it just to get the viral effect, not to put the information that was relevant, that she believed in, and that had good knowledge and insight about. And she started to lose herself, and she became somewhat depressed because all of a sudden the posts that she was putting out weren't going viral anymore. You know, a lot of these times these things are fads, and the crowd was always moving. And no matter what she put out, it wasn't going viral, and she became somewhat depressed about it. But then she got this insight. She found herself, and she got the insight from one comment that came back on one of her posts that she put out. And it was this one person. She said, "You know what? You made a difference in my life today. And because of the information you put out, I'm going to live one more day. And from that one post, she's like, she realized, you know what? I'm going to put content out for one person. Because if I touch just one person with my information, my knowledge, and my insight, I've done a good job. So don't get into the vanity metrics about all the different, there's analytics out there, but don't worry about that. Becoming a thought leader means you're passionate about something you believe in, and you curate that information and you put it out every day. You only need one employer. You don't need a million. You just need one employer. You need one person to believe in you to buy your product or service if you're an entrepreneur. You just need one. And then you grow from that one. So being a thought leader is this, you lead with what you believe in about the services that you provide, and you are a thought leader.
I also look at thought leader. There's a term they probably still use it, but I might be showing my age. We used to use the term subject matter expert. Okay, thought leaders to me, as part of that, is people look to you to be the expert on your field or industry because you're connected, because you're having conversation. Information is king. Okay, people coming to you for information is important. That's why you have to stay intentional, right? They're going to continue. Information could change quickly. Right? You've got to stay on your toes, because what's good today may not be good tomorrow. But if you're constantly educating people on tomorrow, they're like, you know what? I'm going to tune in to this person because this is the person who has the information, the subject matter expert in your career, your field, and again, your brand. Kind of teasing the next segment, you know? Anyway, continue. Okay, great. Do you have any other questions?
Not for now.
Okay.
I have a lot of things to do now with my profile. So
Absolutely. One of the things we plan to do as time goes on is to do maybe more of a live stream with more of the student body available to talk about it, because that's how important we think it is in career resources and as a faculty, the importance of you all prepping yourself as much as possible
yes.
for the future. Mercedes, do you have anything else to add?
I do. If anything that you can take with you today from this wonderful podcast is that incorporate LinkedIn on your daily routine, as I do, and you're going to learn a lot. It's just, again, I can't stress enough, it's just not for employment. You can learn a lot from just reading the articles people post. And it's amazing. It's amazing. To me, LinkedIn has become, it's silly to say, but something like a mentor. I read a lot of the articles and I take in what I read and incorporate it in my daily routine at work, family. It's wonderful. I can't stress enough.
And if you need assistance, come to Career Resources and they will help you set it up, okay? Some of the takeaways I had from here, just to recap real quick, make sure your page is professional, reach out and start connecting, be intentional about the information you put on there, use LinkedIn Learning to continue your education and all that good stuff. Post videos, content, they help you go viral. Try to be a thought leader. You want people to come to you to be there. And then after you do all of this, as Mr. McGaugh has said, there's analytics to see if it's working. Right? It's working. And this is like the foundation just to get started, okay? And I can't thank you enough, my friend, Mr. Grant McGaugh from 5-Star BDM, for coming and sharing your wealth of knowledge with me and the university. And we welcome you to come back, and we want you to come back to talk about branding and to talk to more of the general population. So thank you again for sharing all this great information with us.
My pleasure. Couldn't think of anything else better to do today.
Very good, very good.